Mike Luchene from NFL Rough Draft. Now, if you guys haven't visited NFLRoughDraft.com, you guys have been missing out because they've been ranked most accurate mock drafters, and their top 100 board has been most accurate in predicting, where NFL teams pick by thehuddlereport.com. So go check it out. So without any delay, today is a podcast episode. It's just dropping Monday. So this is Monday. We're only 4 days away from the draft. Got to be excited as hell. So today we're bringing you a mock draft. But before that, I want to welcome in Mike. He's going to give us, Mike from NFLRoughDraft.com. He's going to give us his the players he likes more than the NFL media or whatnot. Players he dislikes less than the others, and a few Raider fits because he's also a Raider fan. A few guys he likes for the Raiders more than the others. So Mike, thanks for coming on.
Hey JB, thanks for having me on again. I'm pumped up for this mock draft. As far as a couple of guys that I like more than maybe a lot of the guys in the mainstream media like, I really like Justin Lane from Michigan State. He's a cornerback. And he's a big press corner, and he's kind of getting lost in the wash just because, there are a lot of cornerbacks being talked about in the first and second round range. And you're hearing a lot of buzz about Sean Bunting right now. Joanne Williams is another one who's supposed to go in that range. And there are a few more too. But Justin Lane is just a guy who's been ultra productive. I think he had like 16 passes broken up last year. And their other cornerback over there is pretty good too. So opposing offenses couldn't avoid throwing at him. And he just held up well, got to the combine, tested really well. So I think if there's a guy who's a surprise first round pick on Thursday, he's someone to keep an eye on.
What about, is he a scheme Pacific fit? Is he more like a cover 3 guy, or can he just come in and play anywhere?
Yeah, I think he could come in and play anywhere. I know as far as the Raiders go, they have a lot of needs and they have a lot of picks, and we don't really know what they're going to do. We'll have to see what Mike Mayock does with his first draft. And I don't know if he's someone who's on their board as a first round pick, but if he is, that would be interesting with them picking 24 and 27. Another guy who I really like is Miles Sanders, and I think the media's kind of caught on to him as the process has gone along. But this guy was a gigantic recruit as a running back out of Penn State, and as you know, they had Saquon Barkley there, so he didn't really play that much before this year. But he took over this year. He carried the load. He's, I think when you look at running backs who come into the league, a lot of times they don't play right away because they're not talented receivers and they're not used to pass blocking. Well, Miles Sanders can do both of those things. And it wasn't a surprise at all that he had a very good combine. So he's another one who I think is going to go probably the second round. The one knock on him is just his ball security. He fumbled, I think it was 9 times in about 300 touches. So that's got to come down for him to be a good NFL player. If he gets that figured out, though, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Awesome. And a couple of guys that you guys are down on more than the others?
Yeah, sure. So, I think Joanne Williams, I mentioned him, the cornerback out of Vanderbilt. He ran in the 4.6s at the combine. And I know you hear people say that the 40 time isn't the end all be all, but unfortunately for cornerbacks, it kind of is. If you run in the high 4.6s, a lot of times that means you have to move to safety.
Yeah.
All the cornerbacks in the NFL run 4.5 or less than that. And, one of the things that he's kind of praised for is, again, being another one of those big physical cornerbacks. Well, he's 6'4", and I do think there's such a thing as being too big at cornerback. And if you look at a lot of the corners who've been in the draft who've been that big, they haven't really worked out. There's a guy, I'm going back a few years now. I hope I get his name right. I think it was Stanley Jean Baptiste. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he was looked at as being a second or third round pick, and he was just too big. I mean, you kind of get stiff in the hips, and when you can't run, I don't know. I mean, I'd be a little bit hesitant to take him in the top 100, which is where I think he's going to go.
With his height and his weight and his speed, could you not see him moving over to linebacker or playing on certain packages?
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe some teams will look at him there or at safety. And I just kind of look at it as if you're going to convert a guy, especially if you're going to move him to linebacker or something like that. I don't know if you would take him in the top 100.
No, definitely not.
Right.
Definitely not. If you're going to convert a player, it's when the Raiders took Jihad Ward and then thought, oh, we've got this prototype. It's way too high. You need to take them like 5th round to 7th round, in my opinion. If you're going to move them position, there's no value in taking them because the value is based on the position they should be playing.
Right, and if you want to look at another Raider conversion, if you go back to USC's Darnell Bing, he was a star safety, and the Raiders drafted him to play linebacker. He was a talented college player, but the conversion just didn't work out. They spent the 4th round pick on him, and they didn't get much out of him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hey, Ray, you're in the media. Are you hearing anything? Any rumors about who the Raiders like or dislike?
Interestingly enough, those rumors really died down after Mayock and Gruden. Well, I'm going to just say Mayock because reportedly Gruden had nothing to do with it. When Mayock cleared the draft room, a lot of it went really dry. So I think Mayock's plan is working, that he wanted to seal up the leaks.
So you don't know anything. That's a good news, then, I guess. Right?
What I know is stuff that's been out. I mean, you know what? The funniest thing is, it looks like one of the last dying leaks from the scouts were sources saying that the Raiders like Drew Lock, and I'm like, that's awkward.
Yeah, well, it's. I have no, but I think people are making a big deal out of it online. I think if you heard of Chris in Chris Sims' podcast, when he was working for the Patriots, they said only 3 people had access to the draft room. It was hidden under a steel door, behind a steel door. And when anyone would open the door, they would look both ways before opening the door. They didn't want anybody in there. So scouts had no access. So I think it's they're just making a big deal out of it, to be honest. But
right.
Anyway.
Right. I think the legitimate thing I heard was that if their top players, Nick Bosa and Quinnen Williams, are off the board, they're going to trade down to try to take Devin White.
Interesting. Well, how much can they really trade down? Devin White could go number 5. I think they just take Devin White at 4.
Right. I mean, Tampa would take him. I mean, I would take him. They don't have a middle linebacker that's their guy.
True. Hey, Mike, is Devin White at 4 a huge reach in your opinion, or is he worth it?
So the way I look at it is there are 3 players at the top of my board, and those are the 3 defensive linemen, and Devin White is 4th. So, I mean, I would take one of those 3 defensive linemen if I stayed at 4, but again, Devin White is in the next tier all by himself as far as I'm concerned. So I don't think it would be a terrible pick. The Raiders really need some defensive linemen. I mean, especially edge players. But if Quinnen Williams is there, he'd be tough to pass on. And that's not a knock against Devin White. I love that guy. He's going to go on to be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll talk more Raiders specific tomorrow because we have Monday night. We're recording another podcast, so let's get started with the mock draft. Let's have some fun, guys.
Let's get to it.
All right, who wants the first one, Ray or Mike? Ray, you want the first one?
You're gonna give me the Zona pick?
I'll give you the Zota pick, then Mike, then Gavin. I forgot to introduce Gavin. I was excited about you two guys. I didn't even introduce Gavin. So obviously Gavin's here. Say hi, Gavin.
Hi. I'm just, I'm nobody to this show.
No, you're everything. I'm just, By the way, we had our middle linebacker on 2 days ago, and he was a really good. Okay, Jason Cabinda. He was a really good guest. I haven't been able to drop it, but I'll drop the podcast today. But Jason Cabinda came on. It was really cool. All right, Ray, you're on the clock with Arizona. Is this is this what we're gonna do? Is this what we think is gonna happen? What do you think? What should we do?
Ooh.
A bit of both, I think. We should do a bit of both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, what would you rather have?
I'm fine with whatever you guys want to do.
Okay, a little bit of both. I mean, if we really feel one person should go, yeah. Just do the mix of both.
Just go with it. Just
go with it. All right.
All right. Well, with the first overall pick, the Cardinals are going to take Kyler Murray, quarterback, Oklahoma. He's the quarterback that Cliff Kingsbury wants, as much as the GM and the coach will deny it on the podium. It's tough for a coach to walk in a situation and not have the quarterback he wants. It's unfair to Josh Rosen, but Kyler is the fit for the air raid offense. He can throw the ball and he can run. And let's just say Murray didn't enter the NFL draft not to be the number one pick. That's why he chose football over baseball.
All right, Mike, you're on the clock.
All right, so the 49ers, I think their choice is going to come down to Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa, or Josh Allen. And I know a lot of people think I'm crazy for having Josh Allen in that mix. I just think he's a talented edge player, and he wins with speed, whereas Nick Bosa is more of a technician. But I really think that we could look back a few years from now, and it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up being better than Bosa. That said, I think the 49ers with the second pick take Nick Bosa, edge player from Ohio State, so he played defensive end in their 4-3 defense.
Gavin, you on the Jets or you on the Raiders?
Well, I'll take the first Raiders pick.
All right, so I'll go with the Jets. Jets have a huge need at edge. Quinn Williams is the better player, but I think it's just Josh Allen is really, really good. He can drop back into coverage. He can rush the passer, and he gives them what they wanted in that been needing for the last couple of years. So I'm gonna skip Quentin Williams, the best player on the board. I'm gonna go with a little bit of need and the second best player on the board, Josh Allen for the Jets, edge Kentucky.
Okay, I was surprised. I thought he was going to take Quinnen, to be fair. But when a play like that falls down the board, you've got to take him. So Raiders take Quinnen Williams. So yes, we have a need at edge, but if you can collapse the pocket like Quinnen Williams and Maurice Hurst are going to do together, then that just creates havoc.
Alrighty, Ray.
Tampa, is it Tampa?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah, Tampa Bay.
I'm really torn here between two guys that I think will fit Tampa. One is, of course, Devin White, and the other one is Ed Oliver. But, considering the depth chart they have at linebacker, considering they allowed one to walk in free agency, Quan Alexander, I'm going to take the linebacker from LSU, Devin White, number 5 to the Buccaneers.
Boom.
Nice.
Mike, you're up with the Giants.
Okay, and Ray, I think you really hit the nail on the head with the Buccaneers right there. I agree with you. I think it comes down to Devin White and Ed Oliver. So the Giants picking at 6. Look, I think they have to take a quarterback. I know some people are saying maybe, one of the edge players goes here. I guess you could make a case for Ed Oliver too. I think they take a quarterback. And for now,